Our responsibility is to take 350 to 15,000 people on a journey. And my goal is to have them leave saying, wow, we've paid more to see bigger acts and haven't left as entertained as we did for you. That's my goal at the end of the day. And I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to say this is what makes the Docksiders the most recognizable name in yacht rock tribute right now, is the fact that we not only pay authentic tribute to the original recordings, but we have musicians and singers on stage that others don't. And we can pay the actual tribute, and we can play it the way that the record dictated, the way that it should be played. We are trying to accurately recreate what takes us back to our childhood. That, to me, is what makes a tribute band special.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Tribute Band Sessions. I'm Mike, and my friend over there is Ray.
Ray, this is Ray Islas. How are you, man? And Mike, who do we have? Who's from the Docksiders?
Ray, we have an amazing guest. Kevin Suture from the Docksiders, not only the band leader, but he started this amazing band. They play yacht rock, which is one of my favorite genres of music out there. And I know that term is... people love it or hate it, but I love it.
Super Suture's here.
That's it. Yeah.
Right on. We love Kevin, man.
So welcome to the show. So I need to know, you have such a crazy, great background. Can you give us a little bit of your musical history? I know from engineer to frontman, and to label owner and all this stuff. Give us a little bit of your background.
It's been a journey, and I think one of my band members calls me the Swiss Army knife of the music industry. So I started as a songwriter and an entertainer. I had some moderate success in the Midwest selling CDs out of my trunk and touring in the 90s. That led to me opening a recording studio because I'd always had an affinity of making albums back when real records were being made, and budgets were respectable. And I built a recording studio in my hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that, I developed my chops as an engineer and a producer and a mixer. And in the mid 2007, 2008, 2009, I had my first handful of Grammy nominations. And throughout that period, I was also developing my skills making deals. And I became naturally an artist manager. And I built a management company that I sold in 2014. And wound up as I was hired to be the CEO of a music publishing record label artist management company. My sister company was making a movie, and because I had experience making deals in the entertainment world and they had none, they were some oil guys from Texas, they said, we need some help attaching ourselves to this movie deal. So I was instrumental in becoming an executive producer on the Oscar award-winning film Dallas Buyers Club. So I'm an uncredited executive producer on that film.
That's awesome.
And then, my third chapter right now has been the biggest dream come true. I always wanted to be an entertainer. That was my first and favorite love. And my career took me in other ways. And now I'm an award-winning headliner in Las Vegas. Last year, my band, the Docksiders, won the Best of Las Vegas Headliner Award.
That's very cool. And you guys do a residency there, right?
We have a residency at the Venetian, which is my favorite property in all Las Vegas.
I know that place very well.
I love that, man. Next time you're in town, I hope I'm going to get a phone call.
Yes, sir.
That would be
great.
Sir,
in February, as a matter of fact. Where in the Venetian are you guys playing?
So we're in this really cool, intimate room. It's a 350-seat showroom called 1923 Live. It's a prohibition bar that is built around, essentially, our performance spas. Yeah.
I've walked by it many times.
Wonderful.
When I was there on the way to the food court.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Now I have directions when I go to see you. I'm just looking for the food court,
That's it, man.
You take the escalator up and then to your left. There it is. And every time they just won't let me in because they look at me and then they think, no, riffraff.
They're like, no.
But so now I know you.
That's
okay,
so what led you to starting a yacht rock band? So you have every kind of musical genre out there. Yacht rock. Why yacht rock?
Well, I tell people that it's the soundtrack of my youth. For one, it is what gave me the roadmap to being the producer and the songwriter and the engineer and mixer that I am today. It was my master class of listening critically. And that music that was created in that time period is so unbelievably well written and produced. And
Agreed.
musicians had to play and singers had to sing. And it's very different than what we're currently experiencing and what is current music today. So I was listening to Sirius XM radio, and I was listening to the Yacht Rock radio channel in 2017. And I was managing a kid out of the Chicago area who I had put on tour with the largest girl group on the planet, Fifth Harmony. And he was playing arenas as their opening act at the time.
That's awesome.
So, all over the world we were traveling, and I got him a deal at ICM. His agent was at ICM. And during, business talks, we would just kind of talk prior to digging into the details. And this agent was an aging rock star that was playing on Long Island in the weekends. And I said, hey, dude, before we get into this, what's this deal with tribute acts playing real concerts right now? What's this business model of tribute acts playing 2,000-seat theaters? That was really intriguing to me. And he said, listen, it's a real business. And if it's done correctly, it can be really lucrative. And I said, well, let me tell you an idea I'm kind of toying with. I haven't been on stage in 25 years because I've been making other people's dreams come true. And I would consider doing a tribute to this genre that people really didn't know a lot about in 2017 called yacht rock. And he was like, I'll tell you what, I know who you are. I know the quality of work that you do. You have a home here at ICM. Go put a band together. So he essentially signed me before I'd even had the band. And immediately I was like, I'm going to call my friends of 40 years that, like, we all know guys in music that are world-class players, but never got their opportunity. They never got the chance to get out of the corner of the bar, but you put them on stage with anybody and they can handle their business as good as anybody in the world can. So I called these guys that I was in love with for decades that just never got to travel the world like I did and play in the most amazing venues on the globe. And I went and saw other yacht rock groups. There's a couple that'll remain nameless.
Yep.
And I went and I watched. And that's, I think, part of what the strength of what I built is as I saw what others were doing. And quite honestly, there's a lot of parody out there. There's a lot of bands in our space that are kind of schmaltzing up the captain's uniforms or schmaltzing up we're a time capsule from 1979. And to me, and I'm going to be bold here, I'm going to say this is what makes the Docksiders the most recognizable name in yacht rock tribute right now, is the fact that we not only pay authentic tribute to the original recordings, but we have musicians and singers on stage that others don't. And we can pay the actual tribute, and we can play it the way that the record dictated, the way that it should be played. And there is less of an interpretation in our show. And we are trying to accurately recreate what takes us back to our childhood, right? Like that to me is what makes a tribute band special versus a tribute band that's maybe interpreting or covering the song. Correct. Yeah.
And I'm sure on your side, you take the level of respect for that music in studying every section of the song properly to perform it properly. Because like you said, those songs back then were played by real musicians and sung by real singers. There was no, fixing this and fixing that. It's like, let's go in, record this, and not only record it, play it live. And there's bands out there who just get on stage and they play the song and you're like, whoa. That's not right.
Of course. Yeah. And I love the fact that I'm talking with you guys because you're musicians and you understand the speak. And I just said something I've never said publicly before on your podcast. I said, I feel the Docksiders are the premier yacht rock band in this space. There are going to be some fans that are going to disagree with me, and they have their right to disagree with me, but we know what we do. And I know, being the critical producer that I am, that we are different than the other groups that are out there. The other thing that I'm going to say for the first time publicly, and I love where this conversation is going, is, have you guys watched the HBO Max documentary on yacht rock? Have you seen that?
So you're going to say you agree with Donald Fagen when he says...
I don't, and this is where I'm going to rub a lot of people wrong, and I'm okay with that because I'm I'm good where we're at right now. I'm happy. We're
100%.
thriving. We are not the schlock that is parroting and making a comedy or a mockery of yacht rock. You know, there's the series that was created on YouTube was a joke, right? We've all seen those YouTube episodes. It's hilarious and it's funny. So this genre came out of like a parody, right? In one aspect. In another aspect, I take what we do very, very seriously.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that's what the yacht rock is doing. They're introducing so many people to that style of music. Even young kids that wouldn't know that music are going, hey, I really love Toto. Or, you know, a great example is when Weezer redid Toto's cover. And they
did Africa, right?
And did Africa. And then all of a sudden, all these kids are now reintroduced to Africa.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like they reinvented the song. They played Africa like Africa, you know, pretty much in the Weezer style a little bit, but they didn't do a whole EDM version or something like that. It was pretty close. So I agree with you.
I had a guy last week, huge guy, probably 6'5". They were from Connecticut. He came up to me at the end of the night and he said, this is going to sound weird. I've been in the military my whole life and I'm a sheriff in Connecticut. And he was like, it's going to sound weird, but can I give you a hug? And I was like, sure. And he gave me this hug and he pulled back after he gave me this hug and he was towering over me. I'm only 5'8". And he was like, I have to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of shit in my life. And this was so healing for me to be here tonight. We talk about that in our show, that the world is so divided right now. And this music takes us back to a place when our lives were easier. Our lives, we didn't have this dinging every 5 seconds and our attentions are going in a million different ways. This music takes us back to a place where we remember times of our lives that were very formulative and important. So the fact that, and we hear this a lot, and it was just cool coming from a guy that you didn't expect that to come from. And he had tears in his eyes. And a couple weeks prior, I had a guy that was at the show who had just lost his wife. And he said the same thing to me. He was crying. And he said, this music is what my wife and I listen to. We were connected from this music from the beginning. And she's not with me anymore. I just recently lost her. But this made me feel so close to her that it almost makes me feel like I'm a medium, right? Like it's not me. It's just what we're doing is passing through us and touching people. And I'm just honored and grateful that I get to be part of that healing and therapy, if that makes any weird sense.
It totally
does. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
It's way cool.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great that you appreciate that and you acknowledge these people, you know, the fans that come up, because like you said, when you come to a venue and it may not be sold out, you will sell it out the next time. And that's always the goal with music. It's like years ago, a buddy of mine, incredible guitar player, he told me, anybody could get the gig, but let's see if you can keep the gig.
It's the truth.
You know, and that's the truth in the music industry. You have to take it to the next level each and every time. And that's a repeat. That becomes the repeat of the venue, of the show, of the, you know, everything that happens next year. It's because what you did this year.
My mantra that I say almost every night in our little prayer circle before we go out, we do this for every show. Like right before the intro of the first song, we all put our hands in the middle and we try to, you know, change who gets to say something before. But I have been in a place recently where I've said, listen, we do this show all the time. And it's the same show. Like we might call an audible here and there. I might feel something from the audience and I'll be like, ooh, let's play Peg tonight. Let's throw Hey 19 in tonight because, you know, I might be on stage and I'll look at everybody and get everybody's attention and I'll shout out Peg, Peg, Peg. It gets frustrating to me because, like, you know, we are out there. I mean, we play so many shows annually. We're working our tails off. We play every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in Las Vegas, and we do 60 cities, not including all the corporates and privates that we do on top of that. So, like, we are spreading the joyous word of soft rock hits from the 70s and 80s. And we are not just playing to gray-haired people that were alive in that area. There are 20-somethings and 30-somethings that are listening to this music that their parents have played for them since they were kids. So to feel like there's this sort of pushback from the original artists that did this that don't want this label. Like, I feel like it's what we're doing is supplementing their incredible work. I don't need a thank you for it. I'm not saying that they should be grateful for what we do, but I think in the same breath, like, come on, man, like, we're out here bringing attention to your brilliant music.
I mean, yeah, and you could look at, like, I mean, you know, Michael McDonald or, you know, Christopher Cross, you know, they know where they are at with the style of music. They're not trying to hide it. So I think there's, you know, the two sides of the coin, but you guys are pushing out the music for everybody that loves that music, and you're doing it well. Obviously, you're doing it so well that you're able to do a residency in a big, you know, hotel like you're playing. They don't just accept, like you said, schlock, you know? It has to be good.
We learned the hard way, man. You know, we moved to Las Vegas in 2022. My mentor and hero, Tony Orlando, brought us to town. And how that happened is we were making a record over the pandemic with the gentleman who wrote Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree and Knock 3 Times and some really big classic songs. And Yellow Ribbon had always meant something very special to me as a young kid. And as we were getting through this album that was co-written by L. Russell Brown and Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys, which we haven't released yet. It's literally mixed and mastered. We just haven't put it out. I said Yellow Ribbon meant so much to me, and your song that you wrote meant so much to me, and Tony Orlando meant so much to me as a kid. I would like to pay tribute to that song. I'd like to record it, and I wanted to know if he'd ask Mr. Orlando if he'd guest on the record with me. And 10 minutes later, I got a phone call from Tony Orlando, and he said, I know who you are. I've done my research. We know the same people. We've been in the same circles for a long time, and I'd be honored to sing on your song. So Tony and I did a duet.
Wow.
On Yellow Ribbon. It's up on all the digital platforms. It's the Docksiders and Tony Orlando. It's not yacht rock, right? Yellow Ribbon isn't a yacht rock song, but it's of an era to me that is important to the yacht rock adjacent side of things. So
I get it. Yeah.
And then Tony came to our hometown and did a theater with us. I invited him and I said, why don't you come and sit in with the Docksiders? Let's play your 5 biggest hits. We'll bring you out as a special guest. We'll treat our audience to this incredible surprise. And he sat me down the next morning as he was waiting to go to the airport. And he looked at me and he said, sit your fucking ass in this chair. And I sat down like the Godfather was speaking to me. This is the man. And he said, in 64 years in this business, I have never seen a show produced the way you've produced your show. You guys are not only accurately paying representation and tribute to the music that is unbelievably difficult to cover and do, but you're doing it in such a way where honestly, and this is his words, some of them sound better than the originals, which I can't even comprehend. Was never my goal to try to outdo master recordings of other things. It's just what we do.
Yeah.
And he said, it belongs in Las Vegas. Would you like me to take you to Las Vegas and get you a residency? And I looked at my wife, who's in the band with me as well. And I said, I think we're selling our house. And I think we have this rare opportunity that might only come around once in a lifetime. And I moved my entire band. We all sold our houses and we all moved to Las Vegas.
That's a commitment
open
right
a
there.
residency, right? It was crazy.
Wow.
That's very commendable with you, and that's a commitment.
You know what's funny is I was going to ask you, does the lineup of your band rotate because musicians are busy? I doubt that now if those guys sold their houses.
Well, let's talk about some of the business side of what I do. My feeling at this age is like, yes, we could play the side guy thing all day long, right? And then it's on me to find a guy that's capable of playing solos note for note. It's no interpretation. Sax player learning those Ernie Watts solos note for note and giving the audiences what they want to hear. It's not a reading gig. It's not come in and read charts. I want my guys on stage playing these songs like they were part of the original recordings. So I made my guys partners.
Oh, that's wild.
I said, I'll tell you what, you've all gotten to this point in time in life. You should see the upside. There's enough to go around. We all know this. We all know artists that we've toured with that are making so much cash and they're paying their salaries to the weekly guys and they're not on retainers. So my guys have an upside. Now, with that comes also some lean time, right? There's going to be times where I'm going to say, hey guys, this is a gig we have to do, but at the end of the day, we got to pay a couple side guys what their salary is. But after expenses, there's not much to cut a couple ways. And because there is typically a bigger upside than there is the downside, my guys are in it for the long haul. And because of that, I don't have to go searching for musicians to play and fill roles. There's a couple of guys that I'm kind of, I've had to fill. A guitar player role is one of them. That's been one where we've gone through a handful of guys. Our guy from our hometown couldn't make the move to Las Vegas, so he chose to stay. So we hired a local guy here for that role. Same thing with our bass player. And same thing with our third singer. Our original Docksiders singer still lives in our hometown, and he comes out and does all the big touring dates, and he does all the corporate dates. But we have a local, a guy from LA who's an incredible singer that does all of our Vegas shows. So we've found ways to kind of balance the two shows, Las Vegas and touring corporate, to make it work for us.
How big is the band? Like, what's the setup?
8-piece, 5 musicians, drums, bass, guitar, keys, and sax, and 3 lead singers. I managed a group called the Tenors for some time. I was their United States manager. They were signed to Verve and David Foster. It was my second time working with David in my career, and I loved the idea that there were 4 lead singers in that group, where it could give audiences a different look and a different experience. So when I built the Docksiders, I liked the idea of having 3 male singers. I'm more of a baritone second tenor. I can't sing the real Bobby Kimball tenory stuff. So we've got a guy that sings all that stuff up in the stratosphere. And then my wife is probably one of the best singers I've ever worked with. This woman, Olivia Newton-John, said, "Honey, I've heard people sing my songs, but your wife is very special."
That's awesome.
It was amazing. And if you guys are well versed into yacht rock is not a dominant female genre. There's not a lot of women.
No. That's the thing
that are in that world.
Absolutely, 100%. And they're more utilized as background singers, in a lot of it. But yeah, the lead songs are far and few between in that world, which, but the ones that are there, they're pretty good singers, so you have to emulate them.
And we found ways to make our show work for her. And we've learned that if we were to just strictly stay what the OGs have defined yacht rock to be, we would be playing a very narrow grouping of songs that would really only be between 1978 and 1982, that only had the Lukather and the Porcaro brothers playing on it, that was recorded. You know what I mean? Like there are strict rules, and there are purists in the genre that are like, oh, it's not yacht rock, so why are you playing it? My feeling is like we have an obligation to bring our audience along for a party as well. So we play some soft rock standards that would be also in those years that are very important. And that's how we've blended my wife into the project. There are certain songs that people come to our show and they're like, that's not yacht rock, but it works because it is of the era. It is considered soft rock, and it still is music I listen to in the dentist chair.
Yeah, I think like people that like even, I don't even know how you'll classify it, but like a Fleetwood Mac song. Is it yacht rock? Is it 70s rock or whatever? But people that are coming to, see a yacht rock really like Fleetwood Mac. So I don't know if you would play any of that in your set list or not, but
we do. It's more classic rock. Correct. I mean, if you're really trying to kind of clarify what it is, but again, I feel like our obligation isn't to pander to the musicians that are in the room, and it's not to pander to the 5% of elitists that are like, that's not yacht rock, it needs to meet this criteria. Our responsibility is to take 350 to 15,000 people on a journey, and my goal is to have them leave saying, wow, we've paid more to see bigger acts and haven't left as entertained as we did for you. That's my goal at the end of the day, is to stay authentic, to stay true, and to perform from a position of being grateful to have this opportunity at this stage of my life to get to do what I get to do. And I think that is some of the magic of what we do as a tribute act.
No, that's great.
Okay, so Like you said, you have the club. The club does it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Correct.
And then when you guys do corporates, do you sub out to a different band? Because some
No,
of these corporates may be on a Friday, Saturday.
correct.
So,
Yeah, we have the type of deal where we can, obviously I like to do it as enough advance notice as possible, because a lot of times we have to refund tickets. We have to say we have a job that's, we've got to do, and we're going to get on planes and we're going to leave on a Friday because it's a Saturday night hit, and then we'll be back Sunday. So we will cancel a Friday, Saturday from time to time as part of our deal.
Okay. All right. So the club is dark with live music then, if you guys aren't playing.
The room is dark when we're not there. They do have, they have a really cool live music thing with a piano player, a guitar player, and then they bring in a couple burlesque girls, and they call it NOLA Nights. It's a prohibition bar, so it's hard to find.
That makes sense.
And it's dark, and so we handshake, or we hand off at the end of our show on Friday and Saturday nights. We turn it over to the piano player, who's sitting on the other side of the room, but plays through the same PA, and they sell tables for that as well. So they do have their NOLA nights that happen, and people buy tables for that as well. So, from our 7:30 to 9:30 time frame, the room is more just a cocktail lounge at that point in time.
That's a great time. 7:30 to 9:30. Jeez.
I love that.
We only play.
You can be in bed by 11.
Dude, listen to this. Our Vegas show it's a 75-minute set. We start at 7:30. So if I time things correctly, by 9:30, I can be sitting in my backyard at my pool with a cigar.
Listen, Ray, you have to listen up about that and speak to management.
That's a dream gig.
It's a dream gig, man. And you know what?
Yeah.
It pays really well. Like, we pay our guys very, very smartly. And I think we all know it. Even a couple of the local guys that are our side guys in the band are like, there are not a lot of gigs like this. Like, we got something special going on here. Let's just kind of keep it quiet. Let people know.
Absolutely. Does your band tour internationally? Do you get to do some international stuff?
We do, as an artist manager, and I've represented some pretty famous people in my career. I got, built relationships in just about everywhere, Japan and Europe and South America. We're going to Costa Rica to play a beautiful event in November. We're putting some finishing touches on an Australia appearance. And it looks like in 2026 we'll be returning to Europe as well. So we get a lot of, it's cool about Vegas is you get people from all over the world coming, and it's no strange thing for me to step off stage this last weekend. I met a guy and his wife from Holland, and they're like, "We want you to come to Holland. My buddy is a promoter. Here's, give us." So, and weird things happen, right? Phone calls happen or emails happen. We're happy to go wherever they want to celebrate the music.
And I would imagine because you've done all the management work, the logistics and the booking and all that stuff, you're used to that. So that, almost comes second nature to you.
It's my problem, and it's my Achilles, if we wanted to talk about that. Like I referred earlier, I am the Swiss Army knife. I was a tour manager. I learned how to get guys in and out of countries. I do visas and carnets, and I can do it in my sleep. It's a blessing and a curse, because it's a lot of times I want to just be in the band. Like, I just want to hang with my homies and talk crap about the world and make jokes that are off tasting with my friends and have a couple beers and some cocktails and just relax. But I always kind of have to remain, the manager, and I'm very conscious about our conduct and how we represent ourselves throughout the entire process, not just on stage, but I want people to say, "Holy cow, these guys the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. We had no surprises. They did more than they said that they were going to do." And it was a pleasure working with Kevin because he understands, the game. I get, like, when a buyer says, "Hey, we're going to push the set back an hour." A lot of bands and tours I've been in have said, like, "Let's bring out the contract and let's show them that we're playing at 9:00 means 9:00. It's like, listen, we're there. We're here to play. If we need to be a little flexible because the something's running over or something's changing, that's the least we can do, is just be flexible and make it easy for them. We shouldn't be the difficult step. So yeah, I flirted with hiring a tour manager. I brought in a really good friend who was out on the road with my friends in Vertical Horizon to tour manage a bus tour that we had. And I thought that would be great. But I realized, like, for my guys who'd been dealing with me as the tour manager and manager for all these years, like, when I put somebody else kind of in place to say, this is what time I need you there, and this is what time it needs to be, and it turned into then they would look at me, and I'd be like, listen, what he's saying is what's going. So you don't have to look at me. I don't have to contribute right now. I'm going to show up when he says we need to show up too. I want to relinquish that responsibility and let somebody do it. But it turned into more of a hassle, I think, for me, because I wasn't fully able to not be the guy that the guys came to with any questions or problems. I'm like, we have this joke. We use this software called Master Tour, which is an app that keeps everybody kind of,
exactly. Yeah.
wheels up, load in, sound checks,
all the
dinners,
information,
doors,
everything is on that. Yeah.
It's on your phone and it's at your fingertips. And like the running joke is like, there's always going to be one of my guys and be like, what time do we have to be there? I'm like, dude, we spend a lot of time putting data into this app, so you have all the information you need. And it turned to be the same sort of thing. Like, even though it was in Master Tour and even though I had a tour manager on the bus, they would
There's
still come
always
to me.
one.
Right? Exactly.
There's always one. I know. If you hand them a tour book, then it becomes like what we call it is the book of lies at times, because things change and you can't change the tour book. You can change everything on the app. Like, got to update the call, the lobby call, and all that. My education in the recording studio started at the tail end of analog. So I was still recording to 2-inch tape. I was grease penning and cutting and splicing. And then the transition to digital happened, which was a whole nother sort of, learning process. But I feel I also became a tour manager at the tail end of the old tour book stuff. I was still putting tour books together and binding it at Kinko's and making sure contact information and list of crew and all the things that you would do normally. And then when it made the transition to the digital, it was like, wow. But I'm glad it gave, for both the recording side of things and the touring side, I'm glad I had a foot in both of those worlds, because I think half the problem with today is that people don't pay a lot of attention about where it came from. Like, how did we get here? How did the business get here? What has changed? And I think when you can understand that, I see a lot of younger kids on the road too, and I'm like, how does this guy have a job? Like, how does this even? How do they stay employed?
How do they get out of bed? Is more like it.
But
That's a whole different episode too.
We could do a new episode on that. I was just going to say. But then I'm also running the risk of sounding like Clint Eastwood on that "Get Off My Lawn" episode. I'm sounding like the old guy.
Hey, we're there. We can do that. We're there. We're at that age now.
Right.
Fuck that.
Amen.
Exactly. So it is, and I just want to add something to what you said. It's great to have that old experience, because I feel that you really got the grassroots of where you came from. You made a memory come back. I have that memory of cutting the tape, doing this places, doing it backwards if I want a backward snare drum fill or whatever. But then you fast forward it, and if you don't have that experience, you don't appreciate what you have today. That's my thing, and it really just makes you appreciate the technology. Speaking of that, marketing now for bands in the tribute world is, it's come such a long way. Do you guys find any the best place to market your band? Do you do heavy marketing? Do you do a lot of social?
We've done it all. I could get into the weeds with you about marketing a show in Las Vegas. If you think of, like a brand like Cirque, they spend $1 million a month locally on marketing. I can't compete with that. We can't compete with that. But old school in Las Vegas, like if we're just talking Las Vegas alone, old school taxi tops, bus wraps, billboards. We are now very heavily invested in geofencing and geo-targeting. We've done it all. And then I still believe that it's my responsibility to sell tickets when we go to New Jersey. Like, the venue is only going to, if I'm lucky, the venue will send out an email blast of buyers that bought like-minded acts like us, right? They'll send Eagle Mania, and they'll send, other tribute acts. Hey, the Docksiders. But we have a marketing rider, which explains to venues how to market our show, because we have found there have been major mistakes made. We find direct from Las Vegas helps in cities like Philadelphia and in New York. Las Vegas is coming to you. Oh, cool. We get to see a Vegas show. That's a different thing than just a regular act coming through. And the Docksiders don't say, there are two other bands that, are in our competitive space that we feel that have the word yacht in their name, right? That the Docksiders don't say that. So our slogan or our tagline is the yacht rock experience. So we were having issues where venues weren't using that. So if you put the Docksiders up and you put our picture up, unless you know who the Docksiders are, you're not going to take a flyer and you're not going to buy. So we've changed the way we market, and it's very easy to determine who our audience is. It's really simple. We have really laser focused on who buys tickets to tribute acts that are playing music from the 70s and 80s. So Facebook and Instagram are our biggest friends. We are very heavily invested in, and will spend in every city. So it's my feeling that I will take my own money, and we should be promoting, because the venue isn't going to do it for us. They're not going to figure it out. And I think that's also been part of our success, is that we are investing in our future. Not saying that you go to a new town and you sell, maybe it's a 750 seat room and you sell 185 tickets. You walk in there and you still play the show as if it was sold out. But what I've learned over the last 7 years of being in this band, I promise you the next time we get there, we're going to triple it, because everybody we talk to at the end of the night is like, oh my God, this was so therapeutic, and this was so healing to hear this music, and the way my wife and my story play out very naturally in these songs on stage. They always talk about how incredible it is to see a healthy relationship working together, and we have this really kind of interestingly cool banter. It makes the show. I always say the show is the spaces in between the songs, right? Like the songs can be the songs, but if the show is what happens in between those moments where we're entertaining, right?
Yeah,
so,
because the audience gets a feel for your personality, which is that's unique,
Having that immediate instinct of like knowing what to do in any given situation, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And the show is so fluid. I just keep saying to them, this might be Groundhog Day for us, referencing the Bill Murray movie where it's just the same shit over and over again. But I keep saying to them that there's a room full of people that have seen us for the first time out there. So we owe this to them. I know my guys, and every once in a while I'll turn and look at somebody on stage because somebody embellishes something that shouldn't necessarily be embellished, and it's the guys trying to keep themselves excited about playing Steal Away for the 1,000th time in 2 years, right? Like there's a lot that comes with a musician that is feeling like you're in a factory now, because now you're just replicating. It's going, you guys know, you go out on tour and you play the show, and the banter in between songs stays similar, right? Like it's part of, I watched it with artists that I managed. And I remember being a young tour manager and thinking how brilliant it was with the artists that I was on tour with that was able to replicate the same show night after night. So you're keeping the quality of what you're trying to do consistent, right? And we've built our show no different than that. So I keep harping to my fellas, like, listen, this might be boring. There might be moments you find yourself on stage just kind of being like, oh my God, do we really have to do? I've had the time of my life again tonight. And at the same breath, it works. And there are people seeing us for the first time. So we owe it to them to perform it the way that everybody who sees us the first time should see it. So there's challenges, right? Like you have these built-in challenges. That's why choosing a song here or there. I just did a new Hall & Oates medley. And Hall & Oates growing up were one of my all-time favorite groups. And in 2000, my first band I was ever in, I say this on stage, like my first band was the summer between my 8th grade year of middle school and becoming a freshman in high school. And it was 1984. And I remember vividly the summer in the neighborhood and there were some kids who had older brothers that had instruments, and I had happened to do some musical theater. So they're like, okay, Kevin, he can sing. So we did Louie Louie. It was the 3 chords, and it was all that we knew. And we didn't have an internet
Such
to
a
go
fun
look up,
song to play, too.
right? We had no internet, so you couldn't look up the lyrics, and God knows you couldn't understand what that guy was singing. So I just
Maddie told Hattie was the only lyric you understand.
That's it, right?
That's it. Yeah.
But then we were like, okay, maybe we should learn some songs. And our collective favorite group in the world was Hall & Oates. They were also the biggest pop group on the planet at the time in '84. So here I am, a 14-year-old kid trying to sing Daryl Hall, which is impossible even today to try to mimic Daryl Hall, in my opinion. But we tried. And fast forward to 2002, I was asked to tour with Hall & Oates as their opening act when I was an original music artist. And it was like
what a 360 moment,
a
right?
huge full circle moment for me to share 20 minutes on stage with my heroes. And then looking at John Oates and T-Bone Walk in the wings, watching me do my set. And then having unfettered access to brotherhood and kinship that comes from sharing road days together, and how welcoming they were to me. And then to be able to like call Hall & Oates out now in my show, it's almost selfish for me because it has such a special place in my story, but it also has a place in the genre that we're doing, even though they're not really considered yacht rock. They're really not.
Yeah, but I think like everybody, the people that don't know exactly technically what songs that are or are not yacht rock, they consider that yacht rock. So I think you're fine. It fits right in.
If it's played on Sirius Yacht Rock station, that's it. It's yacht rock. Done.
Can I tell you that we have been single-handedly responsible for curating some of their playlists?
Wow.
They were not playing Magic by Olivia Newton-John until we put videos out playing Magic by Olivia Newton-John. Then they added it.
That's amazing.
I don't find that surprising.
No, I mean, listen, they gotta look everywhere to create. So
sure.
For the Docksiders, what's your future thought of expanding the brand? Do you have any like thoughts down the line? Hey, I want to do this next. I want to do that.
Yeah, well, I'm debuting a whole bunch of stuff for you guys. You guys are getting the scoop.
I love it, and I can't wait to see you guys. Next time in Vegas, I gotta come.
Yeah, all you have to do is let me know. I would love for you guys to be our guests. I would love to have you at the show. It'd be so much fun.
Definitely is going to let you know.
At least you say I could be your guest. When I asked Gray, he's like, yeah, I'm going to be out of town. No. I'm like, wait, I think you're in the town playing.
He's the don't let him in list. So,
that's funny.
Hey, the club is down there.
That's right. The club is in another city.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You're in town.
Right.
Damn social media for letting everybody know.
Exactly.
Right?
So yeah, tell us about the brand expansion. What's up next for you guys?
So we are really excited, but next year we have a handful of symphony shows.
Whoa.
Cool.
That's very cool.
So we will be the Docksiders featuring symphonies from all around America. We will be the first yacht rock band in America, I believe, to be doing that.
It's amazing. I love orchestras and symphonies.
And I love that. I love that idea of playing with that sort of passionate group of musicians that are creating just a wall of amazingness. And obviously you guys know that the music dictates to have that kind of treatment. It'll be kind of fun to see. We're in the process of producing that show right now. And then we've just launched an offshoot of the Docksiders. So we are getting so many calls to play, and there's only one group right now. So I've got another group called the Docksiders Encore that will be playing the exact same show that I've produced with just a new cast of characters.
And will that be primarily on the West Coast, East Coast, or all over the place?
All over the place.
That's amazing.
Touring.
Yay.
A whole new touring version of the Docksiders. And, a lot of it is going to, I think it makes sense for a lot of reasons. And I'm a little worried about it because, like, you guys are very sweet and kind. I am synonymous with the Docksiders. It is my project. So my hopes are that we can retain the quality of what I have created with another group that is serious enough to say, we have to go out and represent this brand of yacht rock that has some roots in the ground in a lot of ways. So it's got some challenges. I'm excited about it. I think the idea of me being in two places at once is impossible. And quite honestly, as I get a little bit older, I'm not going to lie, the grind of travel is not fun, especially when, now that we're on the West. It was one thing being, in the Chicagoland area or in the Milwaukee area. You were an hour and 40 minutes from the East Coast, and you were maybe 4 hours from the West Coast. Now everything located in Vegas, to me, it seems like we do a ton on the East Coast, and it's a day. It's a day to get there. Yeah. And if you're not flying direct, you're sitting in Atlanta, or you're sitting in Chicago, or you're sitting in Minneapolis or Detroit or Houston. Mm-hmm. And, it takes 9 hours to get back from Florida now. I don't like that. I'm over like the 9-hour travel day domestically.
You have to sign the lifetime residency deal. It never expires.
Wow.
Well, Barry Manilow seems to never expire his residency here in Vegas. I only hope to aspire to have that sort of familiarity that he has in this town.
He's a good one to follow. I have to ask this, and I know Ray and I love to find out from people that we talk to. Like, we're going to have a lot of young musicians that want to be in tribute bands and want to start a tribute band, and because the tribute band business has grown so big now, what kind of advice could you give these young musicians starting out to go, hey, I want to be in a tribute band. I want to, do I dress the part? Do I make it sound perfect? Do I spend 6 months just rehearsing the show? What kind of advice would you give some young musicians looking, or not even young? There's other musicians that want to start.
I mean, all I can talk about is my experience and some of the successes that we've had, and hopefully we've made some smart choices. And I'm sure, there are definitely choices that didn't make sense. Like, the tribute world is saturated, right? Like, there's a lot of Eagles tribute bands. There's a lot of Fleetwood Mac tribute bands. There's a lot of Led Zeppelin tribute bands. I mean, a lot of Tom Petty tribute bands. All I did was I went and saw what I considered to be the most visible ones in the yacht rock world before I even formulated one idea. I knew that, being someone of my skill set, a Grammy nominee, I knew that wasn't involved in a tribute world yet. I hadn't seen many people saying this guy with a pretty successful past in the record business is now putting a tribute act together. I knew that I had a skill to maybe do it differently than other people, not saying any better or any worse, but I felt like I needed to find my own lane in the yacht rock world. So I educated myself about who else was in that world. And I said, okay, I'm not going to do it like that. And I'm not going to do it like that. And I think I'm going to try it like this, because that to me seems disingenuous, or it doesn't feel, or why would they put that musician on stage to play Jeff Porcaro's parts? And the guy is speeding up and slowing down all over the place. And, there's all these little things. So I would say to somebody, pay attention, like, to the area that you're trying to get in. And I think the key to success is trying to be unique. Like, you're not going to reinvent the wheel. In the same breath, I'm saying these things about the Docksiders. You could put up 5 yacht rock groups around America right now and look at our set list, and they're probably 80% similar. But there's a reason why we're doing stuff differently and having successes in different ways. And I think that comes down to just the approach and the commitment to what we found to be most important to our project. So I would just continue to say to somebody, find a unique hook, find an angle, find something that is different. I feel the same way about Eagles groups, right? Like, I've seen a Carpenters tribute that, I mean, let's be real. Like, you're talking about one of the most legendary female singers of all time.
And an amazing drummer.
Yeah.
Oh, an incredible.
You got to do the homework. That's it. You have to do the homework. And if it's not done properly with a lot of respect and love and real musicianship, then it's not going to happen. That's it. It's just not going to happen.
It's the reality. And like if you're going to tribute Adele, I know of somebody who does an Adele tribute. Like, and if you can't emulate Adele, if the person you're tributing is, because your chops don't get you there, you shouldn't be tributing that artist, because
of course.
it seems like it's a hack job to me. And I think that there's a lot of groups out there that have great intentions, but they're not even in the ballpark of tributing that artist. So, and I think the public is smart. I think the public, to a degree, I think the public can suss that stuff out, but that's not to say that they can't sell tickets.
I think you're right. There's the bands that really get, separated in their lane of what they do. We had a band called Get the Lead Out on the show, and there's a reason why they can go play Red Rocks and sell it out.
Absolutely.
Because they're really good at what they do. And then there's 30 other Led Zeppelin bands out there that still are playing some small clubs and stuff like that. So that's the difference. If you own your show, make it different. What you said, I think you hit it. You hit it. That's it. I have nothing else to say. But you know what, Ray? We have to do a part 2, because I am looking at my notes here. I have so many more questions, Kevin.
We got to have you back, Kevin.
We have to do a part 2,
Time flies when you're having fun.
Anytime I can sit with guys of your stature, I'm honored, and I'd be happy to join you for any other conversations you want to have.
We'll do a part 2. I got to come see you. This has been amazing. And also, one more thing before we go, just tell our audience where they can find you.
You bet. The Docksiders.com is our website. It's got our schedule up there. It's got links to getting tickets. We're coming to your city, more than likely. And anytime you come to Las Vegas, we have an incredible bundle deal that gets you into the -5 ice bar. You get a free cocktail up in our room, and a VIP ticket to our show with a seated table. It's probably the best deal in Las Vegas right now.
Everybody, buy that deal and go see the Docksiders. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Tribute Band Sessions podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment. Want more info? Sign up to our mailing list at tributebandsessions.com. It's the best way to stay in the loop on upcoming episodes, special guests, and behind-the-scenes stories, and all things tribute bands. And don't forget to follow us on all our socials at Tribute Band Sessions. Thanks for watching.